I don't believe in black tax. Imagine I was rich. I know after a fresh breakup, it will be very difficult to do that because people just want to be spiteful. Do what you need to do, but find time to do what you want to do.
Hey Polaroid bestie, welcome back to a video takeover. Today we have stolen the camera, we've stolen the script, we've stolen everything. We're talking marriage and money. Today I'm joined by somebody who I grew up with. He's gonna be doing all the talking. He has done amazing work. I've admired him for a lot of years. He's been to France, Singapore, Mozambique, Kenya, Ethiopia, you name it, he's been there. And right now he is down here at home with us. He's not in Iceland blowing the money. His name is Etli, but because I'm black, I call him Atli, and because I couldn't say Atli all the time, I call him Kotli. So he's Kotli, I'm Dizzy, and we're taking over. Without wasting any time, let me bring in my guest so that you can meet him yourself. Welcome to the kitchen, hey? How are you?
Thank you, I'm good. It's good to take over. It's always women that are always in this thing. So, you know, it's a good thing to bring that masculine energy.
And you forgot something, nepotism.
Oh, yes.
Remember you were the MC at our wedding.
Yes.
And you did mention that you're bringing in nepotism.
Yes.
And they thought it was just a mistake. This thing runs deep, eh?
Of course.
Just for the sake of them, please introduce yourself. Tell us why you have a shade and I can't shade.
You see, because I'm 2 years older than you, I took up all that, you know, for like and I left with nothing. You got the beard though, so it's a trade.
The funny thing is, remember when we were staying in CPA and your friends would come over and you'll say, "This is my younger brother," and they say, like, no way.
How old are you?
Please introduce yourself. What do you do? Why are you here?
I'm here because I was hijacked, nepotism style. But yes, I think on a more serious note, my name is Atli Matsieti. I am a person who loves life. I just want to live my life wherever it leads me. And I'm fortunate enough to actually do what I love doing, and someone is paying me for it. I'm a father of one and a sibling to many siblings. So yes, that's where I am.
Let's go back to your first money introduction. What did it look like? They say your childhood would probably tell your today. Just take us back to your relationship with money as you were still young.
You know, with black families, well, our era, we were not introduced to money like that. Money was like a taboo thing. They'll talk about everything else, but they will not talk about money. But I think we were kind of fortunate that when we were quite young, our father opened a bank account for us. I think we were like, what? I was probably like 9 or 10 or something like that. So that was my introduction to it.
In Teba Bank with that blue book.
Yeah, with a book. Literally, they'll write your deposits on the book and your withdrawals, you just go minus. You know, it just shows how honest people were, because I could have just gone there and put plus 20 bucks.
True.
You know, but we didn't do that.
But yes. I think also, speaking about those books, I think I was 7 or 6 at the time, because our father was some level of management in Teba.
Yes.
Not everybody could just go to the bank and get those books. Because of that, I think that's the introduction that we got on a little bit of money.
Yeah, so I would save up my carry money and just go and deposit it there. And I'll feel so proud that I could do that. And whenever I felt like, you know, taking it out, I'll just go to the bank again and just withdraw that money and have that fresh smell of money. So
yeah, I remember the other time you withdraw 50 bucks and we went, it was Easter. I didn't understand what Easter is, but this particular Easter I remember because we went to watch Holy Man.
Oh yes, yes. We went to the cinema.
And I was shocked that you had 50 bucks. Yeah. How do you get 50 bucks? And we went to buy 2 tickets. We were like kids.
Yeah, we went to buy, and 50 bucks was a lot. Yeah, you could buy tickets. And you could buy
this was a whole lot of stuff. 1996 or 1998.
Yeah. So there was 98.
98. Yeah. But you already had 50 bucks at the time.
Imagine I was rich.
Of your own money.
Yes,
not the parents' money.
So introduction to money in that sense was good because we kind of got used to it. But later on, you think you know it all now. And then you kind of fall off at some point. There's like friends, there's like girls, there's like other things, you know, in life. And you start seeing finer things in life and you just kind of want the now money, you know. So I kind of got a reintroduction into money. again. I guess we're still learning now, even about money.
Yeah. You started selling stuff where you saw a gap. Take us there. How did that come about?
Maybe before we even get to that, in varsity, I tried to find ways on how to kind of sustain my stay there. I went to University of Joburg. Now it was called Afrikaans University at the time. The lifestyle that I saw there was what I couldn't afford, what our parents couldn't afford, to provide for us. And I needed to find ways of making extra money. The flat that I lived in, I subletted to a point where I wasn't even paying anything, but the other guys in the other rooms were paying for the flat itself and even spending money for me. And so that's why I started seeing that, okay, so there's gaps here. And I then found other ways of making money, like selling cell phones and things like that.
Remember, in Generation, there used to be DJ Mandla back then. That's the generation that I know. There was that commune setup.
Yes.
So you did the same commune setup.
Commune setup, and it worked for me because I've always been a people's person. I didn't like much of the food though, because one of the guys that I subletted was from Congo. It was a lecturer. Oh, geez, the food when he cooked, like, you know, a 2 liter of cooking oil, it would be gone in like 2 weeks.
And the walls. Wow.
But yeah, that's my introduction into different cultures as well, different foods. And I think it's maybe not the only thing, but I kind of wanted to know, how is it like for people like that comes out of South Africa? What is the culture like out there and things like that? And that's where the travel back kind of bit me, you know.
What other things did you sell? Haircuts?
No, not just haircuts. You know how it goes with students. There's no shame. I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most as a student, that you have no shame. You can do anything as long as it gives you the money. The problem is once you start thinking you've got this status, there are certain things you don't want to do, you know, to survive. I'd rather be broke than be seen selling fat cakes.
Yeah, true.
But as a student, you do it. That was the thing that I had. Oh, at least me, I didn't care. I would even, you know, do promotions. I would be an extra in shows, you know. I would do things to make a buck legally.
Jumping over to bad investments, with the stuff that you were doing. You ended up being a model. You ended up modeling with the photos. But what I'm trying to get to is you spent 3.5 at a time.
Yeah.
I think this was 2005, eh?
Yeah.
Making a Z cut. And you went to Emerald. But did you get anything back from that investment?
That was kind of my introduction into investments, good and bad investments. You know, even to this day, I don't think you should be scared of investing anything that you believe in. Right? Obviously, you need to take more precautions now. But did I get a return on investment on that? Monetary, maybe not.
At least on my side, forgetting the fact that I had more pimples and rough skin. At least I got 750 from Vodacom ad.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I think the highest that I've crossed that I could count was 2000 and odd in the Dome, when the Dome, before it sold cars, it was a concert thingy. And I think it was Billy Joel or Elton John who was there. I mean, we got to see Keith Sweat and them because we were selling beer.
And, and you used to see these people for free.
Just because of that. Why I'm making that point is because you and I didn't want to bother our mother with pocket money.
No, for sure. For me, I bothered her for pocket money in my first year, and I realized, I think halfway through there, that nah, man, I shouldn't be asking money. I need to find ways of making money and sustaining myself. And when you came in as well, that was kind of, although we didn't speak about it, but that was the mentality that we took, and we ran with it.
We never bothered her. Even when we bought the PS2, was it PS2 or PS whatever, PS1? We didn't bother. We just kept quiet. We did the stuff.
Whatever we needed to do.
Do you think it has everything else to do with how our mother was handling money and our older sisters and siblings?
Yes, absolutely. I think the thing is, even though we didn't have that talk of how to handle money, she was very open with her money. If she had $100, she would say, I've got $100. And with the $100, this is what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to buy this and that and that. And I think it kind of built maturity in us in a sense that you know you can't ask anything more than what's already there. If she said, I've got this and it will cost $98, you know there's only 2 rands to ask. And there's like, how many of us, you know? So it kind of built discipline in us. That's the thing that I learned from her. Deviated from it, later on as well. And I think it's so important, especially when you're talking partners, that, well, I'm not yet married, but I would assume if you are married, that discussions about money, they need to be kind of, I don't know, transparent maybe, because then you know what you're working towards. There's nothing more stressful than having a partner that thinks you are bowling and they ask all of these things from you. They just want. Can't you know you're struggling? You barely make ends meet. So if it's open, then you know it's easier for someone to understand that, you know what, actually I don't need that trip to Cape Town. Let's rather do something else with that money.
It does make sense. And offline we had shared a story about your first paycheck.
Yes.
Let's go back there. You have all this knowledge. You work for 2 weeks.
Let me explain first. Let me explain. In my defense, I worked for 2 weeks. You understand how we used to make money? We used to find ways of making money. But now this is like a real job where you go every day. Like you go today, they're like, do you still need me tomorrow? They're like, yeah, I come back tomorrow, you know? And if I've been working and I got paid 2 weeks later. I've never had to wait so long to get paid, number one, right? Now you get paid and you're like, finally, I got this money. What did I do with it? Blew it on a pair of shoes. So I got paid on a Friday. Blew my paycheck on a pair of shoes. And I didn't have transport money to go back to work.
And the worst part, you had to take me along. Then
I said, let's go.
And then we are not in downtown Joburg. We were in Rosebank.
Yes.
Europe. And we walk in, you're like, this one.
This same me. We bought them. Did you even have money to go back home? I don't know.
So you're the same as somebody who gets paid 20,000 and you go into a Louis store and you buy a Louis Vuitton pair of shoe, a handbag.
Hey, I felt I deserved it.
It was a long 2 weeks.
It was hectic. Do you know having a supervisor? I've never had a supervisor in my life. They tell you what to do, what not to do. You're like, give me that paycheck. I want to buy shoes. They can scold me, but I'll be looking dope. Yeah.
So all the lessons just unwinded, just like that, to say it doesn't matter how much the parents did, the siblings did. Sometimes you can just feature in a I blew it episode.
Absolutely. I think that's what I was saying, that money talks for black people don't really happen. For us, we kind of got introduced to it much earlier. But things like that happen sometimes. And luckily for me, it didn't happen after winning 32 million.
It was after 2 weeks.
It was after 2 weeks of hard work though, you know. And from there, I think I kind of now like, oh geez, now I need to now be more responsible with my money. I need to find ways of not living above my means and things like that. Yeah.
So you did mention that you have one daughter, my niece. So now what happens with the money behavior when there's somebody else in the picture?
Having a child put a whole lot of discipline in me. There's something far greater, obviously, you know, that you're living for. Before I could have a child, what taught me responsibility, believe it or not, like a lot of responsibility, was having a car first. So for me to find out whether or not I could have a child, I needed to have a car. A car is in some ways like a child. You need to feed it, you need to take care of it, you need to, you know, for someone else who's thinking, am I ready to have a child? Buy a car first. Let's see. Because one day it just stops working. Like a child just starts throwing up all over the place, you know, and you need to do something about it, and you need to do it now. It happens while you're on the road somewhere. It doesn't happen while you're at home. So it's for me that helped me know whether or not I was ready to have a child.
That's a different, interesting perspective. I never actually thought that. Tell me, in this case, your partner at the time, did you guys have similar takes on money?
I think the thing is, at the time, I think I was earning a lot more than she was, right? So of course, in that case, then you would make, you know, a lot of financial stuff would come from you as the person that makes more, but not only that, as a man, right? But the thing is that she was really responsible with money. That helped. And she didn't like a lot of things, like she wasn't the slave queen type. That also helped.
In terms of going into a relationship, is it good to talk about money before you go into it?
For sure. I mean, if you are going to talk about all this, you and the moon and the what, I think money should be part of it. I don't think you should be in a serious relationship with someone if you don't know. Like the people talk about the health status, right? It's a big thing. You need to know someone's health status. Do you know your partner's financial status? Right? I think that's important. It should be one of those things that, like, what's your credit score like? You know, otherwise you get married to someone and you are in debt by virtue of you being married, to them, maybe in community of property or something.
And did you do that, or is it something that you wish along the journey you would do that, to say, do you swipe left or swipe right? You swipe whatever direction, and the person is here in front of you, and you're like, oh, sorry, before you introduce yourself, can I see your budget? Can I see your financial status? Please put them here.
Obviously, over time. Imagine first time you're like, hey, how much do you have in a bank account?
That's what I'm trying to understand. To say, where does the money thing come? Does it come like, oops, we're having a child. Oops, what's your credit score? Yo.
No, it's too late. It's too late. I mean, as you start, you do things called dates. Hopefully, they still do them now. So as you're going and courting a person, I think that's where they really, the talks come from there. And you can see someone's spending habits from there, and you can kind of see an accountant, but I spent like, I work at a spaza shop. So someone is pretty responsible with their money. I'm a petrol attendant, but I blow money like I won the lottery. So that's someone who's not really responsible with their money. You can already see.
But also to the spin, you have peers, whether they were classmates or whatever the case is, you sit down, they show up with a new Mercedes, you sit down.
Peer pressure, of course.
And now the madam is looking at you to say, but you said this guy is a CEO. How come you don't, private jet all the way to Cape Town?
See, the thing is, I've never had peer pressure coming from the opposites. It's always been from, like, my peers. I see this guy and he's got an S3. I'm like, we were there by the buckles there, like together. And then now you're driving an S3.
Yeah.
But you don't realize what it takes for him to drive that. I'll tell you a story that you probably didn't know. So there's this guy, he introduced me to this thing called Hype, right? So Hype is a very close to Triple M, not that Triple M level, ne? Bitcoin things, but it wasn't Bitcoin. So it was a Hype, like almost close to a Ponzi scheme where people put money together and then money comes out from nowhere, right? It's like, hey, bro, there's this Hype. Let's go into it. And I had a bit of money, right? He's like, I'm gonna hustle together like 2K and put it there. Another guy had put in, I think, like 50K, right? And he got 375K. He bought the Q7 at the time, because the Q7 was what, 350? This is like back in the day. And I'm like, I've got 20K. And then, where was my money? Gone.
No.
This is like back in 2000 and, jeez, I don't know.
Wow. So you were gone with the Hype.
Yes, that was my first introduction to this get rich quick schemes. Even to this day, I'm scared of those things. They're like, there's a what's up, what? I'm like, enjoy, guys.
Because when you're talking about this, I've always had, I know Amway is beautiful. I mean, the system is beautiful. I've used the products, they're beautiful. But the whole idea of passive income, people working for you on Amway, that's what they were selling to me. And I have many encounters. People that were in my circle trying to sell me Amway.
I remember.
And I thought to myself, I need to change a cycle. And from that time, I've never had people around me trying to sell me Triple M.
Yes.
And I'm making this point, and I'm coming back to say, was the circle of friends that you were hanging with also a factor into, swindling you at one point?
The funny thing is that I think the guy who introduced me to was not that type of person too. He just heard of it from someone who had just bought an Q7 using that, supposedly, right? Because that's what the guy told us. And we're like, easy money, let's try it. From there, I've never had to do things like that, From my own personal stuff though, also, we're just talking about it offline at some point, that credit card. Once you start making, the cash, and they look at your credit score and things like that, and they throw this money at you like, hey, here's money. And you think it's your money. And you're like, I'm rich. And you blow it. And now you're like, jeez, did I just blow that much? and now you need to pay it back, and it's painful. Only then you realize, interest rate is ridiculous, like 20% or whatever it is. That also was a lesson for me to say, hold on a bit.
Yeah, but
these banks are out here to make money.
But it's quite funny because remember we used to have a system when we were still staying in Elstad. You would get those Truworths cards and we would clip them off. I think I also got one year Makam, and I went in and I found 19,000 in there. I think I bought one pair of shoes and that's it. And you remember, and I got also the ABSA credit card. They just said put a signature and go to the ATM. And I went there and there was 2,500. I'm a student, I got nothing.
I remember that.
But you remember the other time you got was it a phone call or an email to go pick up a car?
Yes.
And you had discipline to say no to that at a time.
And it was a pretty good car too.
Yeah, exactly. And it was brand new.
Yes.
And they were like, you'll pay...
It was ridiculous.
It was a long time. Was it 500 or 1,000 rand a month?
No. Oh, you mean the first time?
Yeah, the first time.
Yes, it was ridiculous.
No. I'm not talking about the other car.
Okay, yeah.
Should I mention the car? It will just expose you. It's one of the supercars. And we went and we saw the car.
We saw the car. I think the nice thing is that we used to just involve each other when it comes to money matters. In fact, life matters itself. So we kind of grew up together in that way. And we went together and and I said, hey, this is what I've got. Let's go see it. We went to see it and we're like, nah. You know, they always say, I remember in 2020, we were told the interest rate was ridiculous. How much was the report?
Something like that, yeah.
And everyone was saying, it's so cheap. Go get debt, as much debt as you can, because you'll never get it as,
as cheap as it is.
And I think that was the worst advice we could have given people. The best advice would have been, if you have debt, pay it off now, because it's the cheapest it will ever be for you to pay off your debt.
I have a friend who he couldn't qualify all along for a bigger house. He already had 2 houses already, but his appetite, when he gets you. So he got a third house for just a little over 3 million, and he knew he couldn't
afford it.
But now, when the interest rate keep on climbing up, the installment that used to be about 19,000 now is going almost north to 30,000, and the salary increase. I mean, it doesn't go
match up to that.
So it always creeps onto you. Let's talk about the interesting job. You start traveling. Child is here. Tell me about your money behaviors, expenses, especially when you have to leave the child at home and you have to go abroad. You see the Mona Lisa and there's some, is it called moyek or moyet or mut? You open up the mood. How does that? Because you got the money now too.
I still want the money. What are you talking about?
No, but now you're in France. I mean, they say, Atle, we are finished. Let's go lunch. And then there you are.
Until you realize something called exchange rate, right? So, the traveling happens now when, you've got a little bit of something. You are more responsible because now, you know that there's someone that is fully dependent on you, right? But you live a little. When I'm out, I like to experience the life of how people live that side. And you'll be surprised how cost effective it is when you do that compared to if you just want to, ball or live like a tourist.
That's quite nice. The child mother, how are you guys splitting the expenses? Is there alimony that you claim for, or is it called child maintenance that you claim for?
I would like to claim for money. We're quite responsible financially for the child together. So she takes out her bit, I take out my bit, and we don't have money issues when it comes to the child. I think I'm fortunate in that case because a lot of people are not fortunate, and maybe she's fortunate too because I'm also like that too,
And how are you doing it to say whoever can chip in, or are you doing straight 50-50?
No, it's more structured. So we know who's doing what, It's not, so she'd say, I'm going to take care of this, and I'm like, I'll take care of this. It's clear. For me personally, I maintain a spreadsheet. So I check how much I make, and then I list all my expenses, and you'll be shocked. I do a spreadsheet that runs for the whole year, right? To say, January to December, to say, this is how much I make, this is how much my expenses are going to be. And at the end of the month, then I go and I do a recon to say, I said I was going to spend 2,000 on entertainment, for an example, and I went 8K, you know, because then you need to kind of see your reality versus your wishes. And of course, you know what you want to get out of it. To say, this is what I want to do by the end of the year. This is what I want to do in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, whatever the case is. So I think for me, it keeps me honest and realistic too. So if I get a salary increase, I know where that's going to go.
Yeah, true. Talking about that, Olerato's besties that don't have exposure to corporate and managing millions of rands in budget, how would they get introduced to this habit of not just seeing the money that's in your bank account or how it's going to be spent, but seeing 12 months in advance?
I think it starts, as with a journey to anywhere, starts with one step, right? Starts with how much money you're expecting before you get it and you say, how am I going to spend it? I'm expecting 5,000. 5,000, what are my needs? $1,000 is for transport, another 1,000 for food, whatever, you know. And then you kind of structure your life like that. And later on, then you say, okay, so am I expecting 5,000 again next month? What do I need to do out of it? How much do I save? You know, how much do I want to get at the end of the month, at the end of the year? Other people do more practical stuff where they say, I'm going to save $100 every week and put it in a piggy bank, for an example, because it works for you. It's practical. It would never work for me because I've never touched money in a while. Right?
True. I was about to say, I was shook the other time. I looked at my statement and I said, I've withdrew 300. I was like, what happened to the 300?
So, we withdrew $300.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this month I withdrew 1,000 because the ATM was not working.
Wow.
So
look at you.
I touch money now, eh? I touch more money than you do.
Have you touched the new banknotes? I just see them on the internet.
Oh, I've touched it. Yes, the other Olerato and the kids came with one.
Ah,
so I've touched it. Yeah, so I've touched more money than you do.
Wow, touche.
Me, I touch money. And talking about that, I've heard that most people, because we were taught to budget or to spend money that we can touch, it's easy for them to split the money to say, here's 200, here's 300, put it under the mattress, split it across. In the world of plastic and designated cards that are black, yellow, green, titanium, you hardly ever touch money. You don't see the money. You can just keep on going and until they tell you that it's finished.
It's finished, yeah.
Do you think it's much more?
Mine is actually the opposite. So I know people say that because they're used to touching money, physical cash, that when it's now digital, they can go and they just keep swiping and they really can't keep track. For me, it's the opposite because of, I think, what we spoke about, that we got introduced to banking quite early. And digital has always been more for me than physical cash. I am more disciplined with digital than I am with physical. Literally, if I can leave the house with $500, I might not come back with it.
Yeah. So
but in my card, I can come back home with it.
If you were to go back and redo everything, what would you go change about your money spending patterns, money education, assets versus liabilities?
A lot. First of all, we are taught that real estate, you can never go wrong with it. And we learned that you can go wrong with it if you bought in the area that doesn't have the right market value, if you know buying at a premium and things like that. So that I could change. And there's some real estate that I shouldn't have bought and had to sell it. A lot of other things, like, you know, the superficial stuff, just buying things because, you know, friends or you want to impress, I could change that. Investing in things that I believe in, not because I want to do passive income or things like that. I think even when it comes to that, you need to invest in something that you know. Don't just invest. If you know it and you love it, invest in it because it will require time from you. And if you love it, you won't see the time. But if you don't, you will hate it and you will not put in the time. And the return on investment will be low.
I like that. You're speaking about this whole money. You got siblings. There's something called siblings dependency, or others call it black tax, or just chip out, help out. Do you keep them to say this one will be this much, and I'll call you and I'm like, ish, yeah, I just want to increase my hair a little bit.
As you
always
kidding. So no, I have a different concept when it comes to black tax. I don't believe in it. I think it's a Western terminology. As African, as black, I don't think there's anything like that. I think I would liken it to, I have got a child and I need to take care of them. Does that mean that's black tax? No, it's a responsibility. When I grow up and I need to take care of my parents, it's also a responsibility. It's not black tax. If I need to help out my siblings, that's not black tax. It's a responsibility that I have. If I'm in a more fortunate position than they are. I mean, we just spoke about how I blew money on a pair of shoes and I didn't have transport money to go back to work. How I got helped out by it was through black tax. Someone gave me the money to continue, So yes, I don't believe in black tax. I believe it's responsibility that we have, especially as men. And of course, you do it within means. You don't go do something out of your means. So to say, do you have a limit for it? Of course there's a limit, because you cannot go and spend what you don't have. Even if I earn 100K, for an example, and my expenses, say, with everything else, make 98,000, it means I've got 2,000 to help anybody else. If you need to, anything, I've only got 2K.
What you're saying is quite important, because there's other single dads that are out there battling with this whole thing. There's a child, there is the mother of the child, there is home, his own family, and everything else is just too much, and there's pressure from his peers, and he's battling with all of this thing. There might be also a job that can bring fulfillment but doesn't pay as much, and it's between that corner to say, do I jump and to do the job that I know I can do it easily in the kitchen, or do I say, no, I'm gonna beg a Zella here and go on? And in that case, I mean, what advice would you give it to them?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because, responsibility has responsibilities. Sometimes you just have to do what you need to do to provide. And if you can do that and still spend time if you can find time to do what you love doing, then do it with your spare time. But I would not advise anyone to just abandon their financial responsibilities and just go for a passion. Because if you've got a child, if you've got people that are dependent on you and you are responsible for them, then you can't just up and leave them. Do what you need to do, but find time to do what you want to do. Even if it means you sleep 4 hours a day, do it.
Can I take you back? So now I'm the producer in the background,
yes.
Right? So we go back to the arrangement between you and the mother of your daughter, right? What advice would you give to somebody who's in a situation where they're getting separated, they have kids, or maybe one kid, and they want to get to a point where, they can both chip in financially? How did you get to that, agreement, and it's a peaceful agreement?
Yeah.
But how is it a takeover if your voice is there? It's not a takeover. A takeover is...
She wants a voice featuring.
You are not here.
So, the thing is, it's always good to have an adult conversation. Adult conversation is understanding. I think if you're in a relationship with someone and you understand their financial status, and you understand your financial status, you can kind of know what they can afford to do, and you know what you can afford to do. If you know that the person can chip in so much and you can chip in that much, I don't think you should expect something more than what they can do. In the name of 50-50, I think
being spiteful, to say,
or being spiteful.
Yeah, I want to get you.
Yeah. So I think the people, you need to always take the fact that the most important person at that point is the child. Right? Have a discussion. I know after a fresh breakup, it will be very difficult to do that because people just want to be spiteful, and maybe over time get to that point. But if you can do it early, the better, because the welfare of the child then is takes priority from that point. So I would say have that discussion with the person to say, listen, here are the expenses that we've got for the child, or this is what the type of life that we want for our child. We want our child to go to this school. This is how much this is how much the expenses are for that, and this is the type of quality that we want our child to have, and these are the associated costs that come with it. Put your child first. This is your child.
And this conversation that you are you having it via therapy, or it's just because I'm assuming things are still tense between the two of you? It's rarely people that say we we are separating because we love each other so much.
Yeah.
Things are still tense. How do we do this?
It's tough at that point. In my example, so initially, of course, things are tense. Things are not rosy, you know, but they also cool down at some point. And then, you know, someone will chip in and say, hi, you know what, let's look at it all together.
So I've had a lot of people talking about, you know, education fund, stuff like that, putting money away. Is this something that you ever thought about? And if so, what are you doing currently?
Yeah, I think what's important is not just leaving money behind for your child or children, because iba ka language ke tšhelete ya dipoko. And tšhelete ya dipoko vele, they're gonna blow it if they don't have the financial education. So financial education is quite important, and it starts now. I'm trying to impart it to my daughter, but in a way that she can, you know, grasp it. For now, I'm teaching her income and expenses. So I give her like an allowance, so she understands that I have money that is mine and I can spend it on certain things. And I'm teaching her to save. But she's quite smart. She has never spent a cent of what I've given her. So she spends my money. So I just take advice from her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's that for now. Don't invest in things that you don't understand. Seek financial advice from professionals. It's more important, and unless you've got the education then to say, this is what I'm going to do. Because a lot of people used to invest in education funds, and then they found out much later that the education fund is not enough to cover the child's tuition fees. And, you know, this is like 20 years of, or, you know, 18 years of paying this thing. You don't understand it properly. You don't understand the benefit of it and how much, you know, charges that go into that. So educate yourself, find out how much are you really going to pay for something.
Yeah, because most financial products that are out there, like the education fund, they'll say, do the one for $500, but your child goes to grade 1 and the school fees is 7,000. And you soon realize in grade 3 or grade 4 that you've blown all the money because it just doesn't add up. And I think it's some of those that we're not saying they are lies, but I think they're just omissions.
Yes.
You were just not told everything that has to happen.
And go seek more information, because this is your money at the end of the day. People are scared to ask because they think, what are they going to say? And you'll be shocked to find out. Yeah.
Speaking about that one, we jump in generations now. Do you think the money mistakes that we might have made with the cars, the accidents, the personal loans, do you think the other generation is going to do the same thing?
They'll do worse or better, you know. Ways of making money now are, it's a little, for me, where I look at it, it's a little bit easier to make money now, but it's also a lot easier to lose money. So yeah, they can make even greater mistakes. Yeah. Look, you can make money from social media now, which was not there before.
And when you're talking about, I'm like, most of us, we know about the metaverse, but nobody has ever actually explored. And the best thing about the metaverse, they say it's quite easier for content creators to make money from the metaverse, because the metaverse is just a platform for you to go in. As you put in your Googles, you can make more money. And I'm thinking,
you can lose more money.
Yes, because I'm thinking that's where the newer generation is going to be participating instead of going into the normal jobs with boardrooms and uniform to go through. It's going to be quite a different world, of which some of this advice in this video might still be, you know, relevant, but some will be too old to say,
of course.
We don't have that. It's the stiffy drive. We now working with solid states.
Of course. But one thing is still, I think, relevant for me would be never invest in something you don't have a passion in.
Just to close off this, what has been your favorite traveling place and why? What did you do?
It will have to be Ethiopia.
Ethiopia?
Yes.
Ah, nice.
It will have to be Ethiopia. Fun fact, is the only African country that's never been conquered. So, I mean, that was interesting for me to find out. Ethiopians are very beautiful. So it's very scenic from that point.
So if you go back to Ethiopia, you might never come back from Ethiopia. You're gonna take your daughter with to say, you know what, I got this work thing in Ethiopia, and hint, we're not coming back. Take your favorite toys.
No, I think the language there I can never do. But yes, I think I like it. I liked it quite a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of rich history though. I think more than anything, I like exploring things like that. And so there's quite very old history. So. You know, old temples, you know, they've got their own calendar there going on. So, yeah, it's cool.
So you and the museum are together, Na and Moe, is it called Moet or Moot?
If you don't know what it's called, then no.
And those other things, it's me in signature there.
During the things.
Yeah, I'm during the people. I'm eating organic things, eh? Yeah. So I'll leave you with the temples alone.
I'll go to the temples, you know, and look at things like that.
Thanks a lot for watching the video. Olerato will be back on the next video, on the next episode. Comment down below. Let us know. Let Olerato know. What do you think about the video? Please share the videos with the single dads that are out there that might benefit from it. See you on the next video. Bye.
It's a wrap.
Great.
Okay, we are on. Thanks for making the time to come over here. Informal chat about money. Money decisions that you might have taken. I want us to talk about the money issues from our perspective.
We're gonna have like 5 takes.
15 days.
Or 15.
Okay, are you rolling?
It's been rolling for the past 7 seconds. I need bloopers, a lot of them.
What blooper? Are we blooping here?
First,
Okay, 1, 2, 3.